Good Morning America Black Box Search. The NTSB asking for the public's help in finding the cockpit voice recorder that could hold clues as to why that medical transport jet plunged into a busy Philadelphia neighborhood less than a minute after takeoff.
It's an orange box, but it could be damaged and might not be orange. And it could be in pieces.
The new images of the impact this morning and the stories of neighbor helping neighbor. Fatal flight path. The new information about the deadly D.C. midair collision that killed 67 people. The NTSB looking to narrow down how high the helicopter was flying ahead of the crash. What the latest data shows.
She was just such a golden person.
As we learn the identity of the third soldier aboard the Black Hawk.
Atmospheric river. The back-to-back storm system set to drench the West. Up to 8 inches of rain and 4 feet of snow. The flood fears and avalanche warnings. Our weather team tracking it all.
Trump's tariffs. The president making good on his threat, imposing stiff tariffs on goods from Canada, Mexico, and China. How it could drive up the prices on everything from gasoline, pickup trucks, and produce, not to mention your big game guacamole.
Hollywood face-off. The feud between Blake Lively and Justin Baldoni headed to court. What to expect from the first hearing and the request Lively's attorneys will be making to the judge.
And gearing up for the Grammys. The artists looking to make history in the top categories. And the newcomers hoping luck is on their side. The roundup of the top contenders on music's biggest night, plus the surprise announcement overnight from Beyonce that fans have been waiting for.
Live from ABC News in New York, this is Good Morning America.
It certainly is a Good Morning America. Happy Sunday to you, Good Morning America. A lot to look forward to tonight at the Grammys. Lots of excitement surrounding Beyonce's big announcement. And yes, of course, it is Groundhog's Day, so we will be keeping an eye on Puxatawny Phil for you this morning. And Gio is back in Washington anchoring this morning for us with the very latest on that deadly mid-air disaster. Gio, good morning to you.
Hey, Janae, good morning. Yeah, we got a lot of new information overnight. Investigators are trying to narrow down just how high that Black Hawk helicopter was flying when it collided with the American Airlines jet. Again, 67 people killed in the crash, the deadliest in almost a quarter century. We now know what the air traffic controller was seeing at the time and the multiple warnings to the Black Hawk. That's all coming up right here. And also ahead here, how Canada, Mexico, and China are all responding this morning after President Trump made good on his promise to impose tariffs on imported goods from those countries. We'll have all of that coming up here. All
right, Gio, we'll check back with you in just a bit, but we do begin here in Philadelphia with that explosive air ambulance crash. The death toll now at 7 and could rise. ABC's Stephanie Ramos joins us from the scene with the very latest. Stephanie, good morning.
Hi there, Whit. Good morning. We now know that medical jet was only in the air for about 40 seconds before it came crashing down in this residential and commercial area. Investigators here say they are working quickly to figure out what happened.
This morning, multiple federal agencies on the ground in Philadelphia urgently searching for the black box of the medical transport jet that plunged to the ground, killing all 6 people on board and at least 1 person on the ground. Officials now calling on the public to help in their search.
It's an orange box, but it could be damaged and might not be orange. And it could be in pieces.
I have a lost aircraft. We're not exactly sure what happened, so we're trying to figure it out.
New images from the sky show the gaping hole left behind in this densely populated neighborhood. Cars charred from the intense blaze. The crash and fireball that followed was captured on several cameras. The neighborhood packed with businesses and homes.
Well, I was on the front step, and the sky just lit up orange, bright orange, like I'd never seen before, like someone put a dimmer light on. This area is just full of smoke, and there was just people everywhere. Firemen just doing what they got to do. It was just really chaos everywhere.
And investigators from the NTSB, the FBI, and the FAA all on scene, combing through mangled debris scattered for several blocks.
We have teams who are going literally house by house, door to door, and also our license and inspections personnel are inspecting all of those dwellings.
The flight was en route to Mexico with a stopover in Missouri, carrying 4 crew members, a mother, and her young child, who just received medical care at nearby Shriners Children's Hospital. Overnight, 2 of the victims identified as Lisbeth Murillo Osuna and Valentina Guzman Murillo. Flight Radar 24 data shows the medevac Learjet flying for about 40 seconds. Then, a dashboard camera capturing it slamming into a neighborhood Friday evening. Michael Hitchner was at Roosevelt Mall when the plane crashed, immediately springing into action to help a child hit in the head by debris.
I'm hearing someone said it was a small passenger jet. Someone else said it was a 747. I'm like, I don't know what's going on. All I know is there are people injured.
Officials haven't specified the extent of those injuries, but did say that the injury and death toll could change in the coming days. Gio.
Just a terrifying crash, Stephanie. Thank you for your reporting. And as that investigation rolls on, another is underway right here in our nation's capital. That awful crash between a Black Hawk helicopter and the American Airlines plane. The NTSB saying overnight that the air traffic controller gave the helicopter's crew multiple warnings about that plane coming in. And now news that the controller may not have known if the Black Hawk was flying higher than allowed because the radar in the tower showed their altitude was normal. Overnight, key new details as the NTSB investigates that deadly crash between a Black Hawk helicopter and the American Airlines plane, killing 67 people just as the plane was coming in for landing. Some of the most trusted location data shows the crash happening at just over 300 feet, higher than the 200 feet the Black Hawk was supposed to be flying at. But the NTSB saying the tower radar that air traffic control was looking at showed 200.
Initial data indicates that he may have seen 200 feet. That needs to be verified. Our ATC group is working it.
While there were 5 people in air traffic control at the time, 1 was handling both plane and helicopter traffic. The NTSB says that controller told the Black Hawk to watch for the American Airlines plane 2 minutes before the crash, with a specific description of the plane's location and flight path. About a minute and a half later, air traffic control asking the helicopter to verify they're seeing the plane.
S25, this is George in flight. S25, F1 is George.
This club has an aircraft inside precedent separation.
ATC telling the Black Hawk to pass behind the plane, the recorder capturing the final sounds.
The crew had a verbal reaction, and FDR data showed the airplane beginning to increase its pitch. Sounds of impact were audible about 1 second later, followed by the end of the recording.
The NTSB has interviewed 3 of the people in air traffic control, which the FAA says is fully staffed with 25 controllers and 3 in training. Now we're learning who was inside that Black Hawk. The 3 soldiers, 28-year-old Ryan Austin O'Hara, 39-year-old Andrew Lloyd Eves, and Rebecca Lobach.
She loved fiercely and she loved hard. And she was just such a golden person. She walks into a room and she smiles, and it's just golden.
Her friend and fellow aviation officer Lexi Freeze telling us Rebecca was a selfless servant.
She was just the type of person that would bend over backwards to help the people that she loved. That's the person I am in this career field because of. And it's heartbreaking to know that I have to continue the rest of my aviation career and I don't get to share it with her.
And among those on that plane, 42-year-old Justina Magdalena Bayer and her 12-year-old daughter. Her mother overcome with emotions, her brother translating.
She wants everyone to know that they're asking for prayers.
Yeah, just so awful. And a reminder here, we will be getting bits and pieces of information as investigators analyze everything that they're finding, but we may not get real answers here for a very long time. These are complicated investigations, and nailing down exactly what caused this tragedy is absolutely critical so that it never happens again. Janae.
But it does take time. An important reminder, Gio. Thank you.
Now to the battle over tariffs. President Trump announcing the 25% tax on goods coming into the U.S. from Canada and Mexico and 10% on Chinese products. All three nations responding now this morning. ABC's Selena Wang is in Washington. Selena, this raises questions about a possible trade war.
Hey, Whit, yeah, good morning. Exactly. Fears are growing that this could be the start of a trade war after President Trump took extraordinary moves over this weekend, hitting America's biggest trading partners with steep tariffs. This could upend global supply chains and increase prices at the grocery store and the gas pump.
This morning, America on the cusp of a trade war with its biggest trading partners.
There could be some temporary short-term disruption, and people will understand that.
After President Donald Trump signed 3 executive orders imposing 25% tariffs on all exports from Mexico and Canada, with the lower 10% tariff on Canadian energy exports and 10% tariffs on goods from China. Trump justifying the tariffs by blaming those countries for illegal drugs and undocumented migrants entering the U.S.
They've treated us very unfairly.
The tariffs are set to take effect on February 4th, just after midnight. Prime Minister Justin Trudeau says Canada will retaliate with 25% tariffs on $106 billion worth of American goods.
Tariffs against Canada will put your jobs at risk, potentially shutting down American auto assembly plants and other manufacturing facilities. They will raise costs for you, including food at the grocery stores and gas at the pump.
Trudeau calling on Canadians to choose goods from Canada over the U.S.
It might mean opting for Canadian rye over Kentucky bourbon, or foregoing Florida orange juice altogether.
Mexico's president also vowing to retaliate with tariffs of their own, blasting the Trump administration for accusing her government of working with drug traffickers, saying if the U.S. wanted to address the fentanyl crisis, they could combat the sale of narcotics on the streets of their major cities, which they do not do. And overnight, China's government denouncing the tariffs, saying it will take countermeasures against them, but still leaving the door open for talks with the U.S. But Trump's executive order says if the countries retaliate, the U.S. can further increase its tariffs. And small business owners are worried about the impact, too.
I think people are going to be truly shocked at the pricing they're going to see on the cars, on the lumber, on the clothes, on the food. This is going to be a mess.
And guys, it's not just higher prices for U.S. consumers. This could also have a huge impact on jobs and also companies in this country. I spoke to the head of a trade group that includes major Canadian automakers, and they say that these tariffs could even potentially halt North American car production, putting American jobs at risk. Janae?
All of those impacts remain to be seen. Selena Wang, thank you. And President Trump's tariffs could send prices of a whole range of goods up. So with your wallet in mind, ABC's Alexis Christoforous joins us with what this could mean for us, consumers. Good morning to you, Alexis.
Good morning, Janae. Yeah, economists already warning that Trump's tariffs could drive up the price of everything from gasoline and pickup trucks to your Super Bowl party guacamole dip at a time when many of us are still reeling from high grocery prices. So the U.S. buys more than $45 billion in agricultural products from Mexico alone, including tomatoes, bell peppers, cucumbers, and avocados. In fact, 90% of the avocados consumed here in the U.S. come from Mexico. Now, tariffs could also mean higher prices at the pump, since the U.S. gets about 70% of its crude oil from Canada, the main ingredient that goes into gasoline. Analysts say the tariffs could tack on an extra 30 to 70 cents a gallon in certain parts of the country, especially for drivers in the Midwest. And car prices, already near record highs, could go even higher. A new $25,000 car from Mexico could cost an extra $6,200 if importers pass on those higher costs to consumers. And that 10% tariff on China, that could hike prices for some toys, electronics, and clothing. Some economists say these higher prices could reignite inflation and prevent the Federal Reserve from lowering interest rates, which means rates on things like credit cards, home loans, and mortgages could stay higher for longer. Janae?
All right, we will be watching these impacts on consumers' wallets, and you can tune in to This Week later this morning. Following President Trump's new tariffs on Canada and Mexico, George Stephanopoulos speaks with Canada's ambassador to the U.S., Kirsten Hillman, about her country's response. Gio.
All right, Janae, now to the confirmation battles ahead this week for the Trump administration. After several contentious Senate hearings last week, ABC's Perry Russum is right here in Washington with the new details. Good morning, Perry.
Gio, good morning to you. This will be a major week for President Trump's most controversial cabinet nominees as they work toward confirmation. We are still waiting for votes on Kash Patel, Robert F. Kennedy Jr., and Tulsi Gabbard. All three had their Senate confirmation hearings last week. Patel is Trump's pick to run the FBI. His hearing was combative at times as he faced tough questions from Democrats about his loyalty to Trump. Patel denies having an enemies list of people he wants to investigate and says there will be no retribution by the FBI if he is in charge. RFK Jr. is Trump's nominee to run Health and Human Services. He faced a bruising round of hearings. After years of challenging vaccine safety, he now says he is supportive of vaccines. And in a major reversal, Kennedy says if confirmed, he will divest his financial stake in an ongoing lawsuit against a vaccine maker. Tulsi Gabbard is Trump's pick to be the director of national intelligence. Her confirmation is in doubt after being pressed by both Democrats and Republicans. Lawmakers are focusing on her apparent support of Edward Snowden, the former intelligence contractor who took more than 1 million classified documents. Gabbard refusing to say whether he is a traitor. All three still have to be approved by the committees they met with before going to the entire Senate for a final vote. Whit.
All right, Perry Russum for us. Thank you. And this week, Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu is headed to the U.S. for a White House meeting with President Trump. This follows the latest hostage prisoner swap between Israel and Hamas, which included an American. ABC's Britt Clennett is in Tel Aviv with more. Britt, good morning.
Good morning, Whit. Yeah, Israeli Prime Minister Netanyahu heading to Washington, D.C. and expected to meet with Trump on Tuesday. Before taking off today, Netanyahu praised Israel's alliance with the U.S., saying they can continue to redraw the map of the Middle East. Now, talks with Trump expected to focus on phase 2 of the ceasefire deal, but there are so many aspects of this deal that are still not thrashed out. It must include an end to the war and a plan for the day after in Gaza. Put simply, those questions just haven't been addressed by Israel or Hamas. Israel has always maintained Hamas cannot be in power while not providing a convincing alternative, while Hamas have used the pause in fighting to project this image of strength and authority in the devastated Gaza Strip. But this pause, it's brought so much relief. Keith Siegel this weekend becoming the first American Israeli to be freed in this deal, along with 2 others, Ofer Calderon and Yarden Bibas. But there are 2 U.S. nationals still believed to be alive, held inside Gaza. Civilian Sagi Dekelchen is due out in phase 1. An IDF soldier, Idan Alexander, he'll be released in phase 2 of this deal if the ceasefire holds. The ceasefire agreement now means that 50 sick and wounded Palestinian children have been able to leave Gaza via the Rafah border crossing. Israel agreeing to open that border for the first time in 9 months in exchange for the last female civilian hostages. The WHO saying thousands of lives depend on increasing medical evacuations.
This year's Pro Bowl games are coming to an end with today's AFC versus NFC flag football showdown. The 7-on-7 flag football game will consist of 4 quarters with skills events in between, contested on a 50-yard field with a 10-yard end zone. Eli Manning is the NFC coach at the Pro Bowl games, and he's trying to score a three-peat over his brother Peyton, who coaches the AFC. And you know where you can watch the Pro Bowl today at 3 p.m. Eastern right here on ABC and ESPN, guys.
You know, Gio, we are used to seeing you at airports. We're not as used to seeing you on the sports stories, but you did all right, bud. You did all right.
Thank you.
We
Studied up for this one. Yeah.
All right, still coming up here on GMA this Sunday morning, the legal battle between Blake Lively and Justin Baldoni heading to court tomorrow. So what's at stake in their dueling lawsuits?
And music's biggest night is tonight. Our look ahead to the big performances and the top contenders at the Grammy Awards.
And meet a man with a passion for finance and how he's using it to help others make money. We'll show you when we're coming back. If you guys could see Whit giddying up right now. Welcome back to GMA on this Sunday morning.
Yeah.
Breaking Beyonce news overnight as Queen Bee announced on Instagram that there will be a Cowboy Carter tour in 2025. Morgan Norwood is excited too. This comes as Beyonce leads the nominations for tonight's Grammy Awards with 11 Music from her Cowboy Carter album is up for Album of the Year, Record of the Year, Song of the Year, and Best Country Song, just to name a few. Coming up, our Will Gans and ABC News entertainment contributor Kelly Carter take a look at what we can expect to see at tonight's big show. You were asking me earlier, is tonight Beyonce's big night?
I feel like it is.
It could be.
It's time. We got the tour coming up.
It could be.
This could be the moment.
Yeah.
We'll stay tuned for that. In the meantime, we want to take a look at some of the other big headlines we're following on this Sunday morning. Happening right now, Democrats have elected Ken Martin, the head of the Minnesota Democratic Farmer Labor Party, as the chair of the Democratic National Committee. Martin is now tasked with strengthening and transforming the National Party to withstand the second Trump administration, rebuild its platform for future elections.
The planned reopening of Pacific Coast Highway in the Palisades Fire burn zone in Southern California has been postponed. The LA mayor's office announced Saturday night that checkpoints in the area will remain in place and only one lane in each direction will reopen at reduced speeds on Monday. The PCH had previously been scheduled to reopen this morning.
Major news overnight out of the NBA. According to ESPN, the Dallas Mavericks have agreed to trade Luka Doncic to the Los Angeles Lakers in exchange for Anthony Davis in a shocking blockbuster. This trade also involves the Utah Jazz. The Lakers and Mavericks play each other twice more in the regular season. So you got Luka and LeBron.
It's going to be big. People have been talking about it all night.
It's something to watch for sure. All right, Gio, let's go back to you.
All right, guys, we are going to start this half hour here with the legal battle between Blake Lively and actor Justin Baldoni heading to court tomorrow. The actress and husband Ryan Reynolds looking to get Baldoni's defamation lawsuit dismissed after Lively accused her It Ends With Us co-star and director of sexual harassment. ABC's Morgan Norwood has this story. Good morning, Morgan.
Hey, good morning to you, Gio. That's right. This Hollywood feud has been playing out more like a courtroom drama than a behind-the-scenes film dispute. And tomorrow, a judge is set to address several key issues and decide whether Justin Baldoni's legal team crossed an ethical line in their fight to defend him. This morning, Hollywood face-off. Lawyers for It Ends With Us stars Blake Lively and Justin Baldoni headed to court, where a judge will referee a number of several key disputes stemming from their increasingly bitter fallout around their blockbuster movie.
It actually gets worse. Yeah.
No way.
Lively and her husband, fellow A-list actor Ryan Reynolds, are pushing to get Baldoni's $400 million defamation countersuit thrown out after Lively accused Baldoni of sexual harassment and inappropriate conduct, along with improvising intimate scenes without consent, allegations Baldoni has repeatedly denied. Lively's team also set to ask a New York judge for a gag order, accusing Baldoni's lawyer of an aggressive campaign to influence the case by releasing a number of materials to the public, including these raw takes from the film set.
Can we do a score? Can we do a score? A couple scores?
And just this weekend, Baldoni's team launching this new website, showcasing what they say is more evidence against Lively.
We're going to put it out there for the public to decide for themselves.
And Baldoni isn't stopping there. His team just amended the multi-million-dollar defamation suit against the New York Times, accusing the paper of conspiring with Lively for months before she sued him. In a statement to ABC News, attorney Brian Friedman saying Ms. Lively and her entire team colluded for months to destroy reputations through a complex web of lies, false accusations, and the manipulation of illicitly received communications.
The biggest decision that might come out of Monday's hearing would be whether or not there's going to be a gag order, because it would greatly change the trajectory of this case, at least in the public eye. Are we going to continue to see either party releasing information about this case that may sway us one way or another, or will it all just be silent until the trial date?
And we'll see how tomorrow's hearing plays out. Meanwhile, a New York Times spokesperson responding to Baldoni's accusations in a statement to Variety saying the Baldoni Wayfarer legal filings are rife with inaccuracies about the New York Times, including, for example, the bogus claim that the Times had early access to Ms. Lively's state civil rights complaint. Lively and her team have not yet responded to our request for comment, Gio.
And the top musical artists looking to be recognized at tonight's Grammy Awards, familiar faces on the verge of making history, and some newcomers hoping to claim the spotlight. ABC's Will Gans is more on the big categories up for grabs.
In that shot, I was going to say, don't look now, but Charlie XCX is right behind me. Yeah. All right, you guys, Trevor Noah is gearing up to host the Grammys for the 5th time tonight. But this year, the show in Los Angeles will not only acknowledge the wildfires, but also manage to squeeze in performances from Shakira, Billie Eilish, Benson Boone, Charlie XCX, and so many others. Oh, yeah, and I think they're going to hand out a few awards, too. She's the reigning queen of the halftime show.
Those petty ones can't touch me.
But will tonight mark Beyoncé's very first Album of the Year win at the Grammys? Cowboy Carter nominated against two historically formidable competitors in that category. Taylor Swift's Tortured Poets Department and Billie Eilish's Hit Me Hard and Soft. And brace yourself for a blitz of Best New Artist bops.
There's a party downtown near 5th Street. Everybody at the bar gets tipsy.
Shabuzi set to perform tonight, and so is Chappell Roan. Plus her friend and fellow frontrunner Sabrina Carpenter. Lady Gaga and Bruno Mars are co-nominees tonight for Song of the Year. The duo set to perform a special tribute to the city of Los Angeles. And in honor of the late, great Quincy Jones, Stevie Wonder and Janelle Monáe will headline a tribute to the legendary producer, joined by Cynthia Erivo, Herbie Hancock, and Lainey Wilson. That's going to be an incredible tribute. Beyoncé is the most awarded artist in Grammy's history, but will she finally win Album of the Year tonight? Well, she's nominated against some of the other biggest pop stars of our generation, Taylor, Billie, Sabrina. So there's a scenario where a split vote for fans of the pop genre could wind up with someone like Andre 3000 pulling off an upset for his flute album.
Which lots of people would be thrilled about.
Yes, I would be shocked by it, but it could happen.
Anything
It's amazing.
can happen.
Yeah. It's a lot of competition, though, for sure. I think a lot of people pulling for Beyonce, too. Will Gans, thank you so much. You're going to join us here for the next conversation because we've got from Los Angeles with some more Grammy insights is ABC News entertainment contributor, our friend Kelly Carter. Kelly, good morning to you. It's great to have you.
Good morning. It's always great to be here with you guys.
So let's jump right into that Best Album Award conversation here. Beyonce potentially versus Taylor Swift, or could someone else sneak in and claim the prize? What do you think?
This is me doing a deep sigh over here. I don't know if you guys can hear it. Beyonce, come on. Come on. It is Beyonce's time. I think that Beyonce proving to the industry and thusly the world that she can genre switch and go country surely should be rewarded. I mean, what more does this woman have to do to take home this top Grammy prize? I think she probably has done it with Cowboy Carter. So tonight we will find out.
Look, Kelly, child, you said it. What more does this woman have to do? Let's turn to the category of Best Record. Lots of big names are vying for this one. Who do you think takes it?
For me, I think it's Sabrina Carpenter. You know, Espresso was ubiquitous. I mean, where were you when you did not hear, this song? And so I think that, Grammy voters probably are paying attention to kind of the universal quality of the song and the fact that it literally has shown up so many places over the course of the last year, certainly the eligibility year. And I think that, she could take home that big prize tonight.
Speaking of Sabrina Carpenter, what do you think about Best New Artist? There's 8 nominees there, tons of new talent. Sabrina, Chappell, Ray, Shabuzi. Who do you have, Kelly?
Tons of new talent. I'm going to stick with Sabrina in this one. Love Shabuzi, love Chappell, love everyone else that she's going up against. But I think that Sabrina is probably going to have a pretty big night tonight. And why shouldn't she? She really has worked hard, I think, to kind of build up to this point in her career as a musician. And tonight, I think she gets to make a big speech.
Kelly, Will just outlined this sort of out there theory about how we could have an Andre 3000 win. Do you have any possible surprises that you're expecting this year?
The surprise for me would be if Beyonce wins or if Beyonce doesn't win. I think every year that she's up for this award in particular, or up for as many Grammys as she's up for every year that she's in competition, that's always kind of the talking point. That's always the narrative. Like, is this going to be the year that she walks away with the win? If you guys remember last year, her husband got up there and kind of, made this
we
speech,
remember.
like,
few words.
We remember. What else does my wife have to do? And I think that collectively we all are asking the same question. So that's what I think a lot of people are going to be focused on when it comes to the competition sector of the Grammys tonight. Is Beyonce going to pull pull off that big win that she has never captured.
Yes, we were just talking earlier about that Jay-Z moment last year, so we will see what happens a year later.
WWJZD. What would Jay-Z do if she loses?
Thank you so much for joining us, Kelly. And still coming up here on Good Morning America, a man with a mission looking to increase financial literacy. How to take that first step. We'll show you right after this.
Even when I see things in the market, it's my...
In February, we're introducing you to a group of Black history makers. It's our series in honor of Black History Month. So we're introducing you to some Black Americans making a difference today, right now, in their own communities and beyond, just by being examples of greatness. And the first is Mark Monroe, who says your financial potential is his passion, and he's made it his purpose to help make you rich. To increase financial literacy.
My passion is to create. My passion is to help.
And to close the racial wealth gap.
I'm going to go through a few things in which that you can do to better help yourself.
Through the Come Up series, building community centered on finances, Mark Monroe and his co-founder, Jolynn GC, are peeling back the layers on the often tough to talk about topic.
I started noticing it amongst my friends. I'm like, why does this have to feel uncomfortable?
He's now gone from having these conversations with friends to millions to millionaires.
I've been able to sit in a room with a gentleman. His company was valued at the time at $10 million. Now he's on his road to being valued at about, I think it's like $200 million.
But it's helping the everyday person make their financial dreams come true. That's Mark's ultimate goal.
There was multiple people being able to pay off student loans, and they never thought that they would ever get out from underneath that rock.
Increasing financial literacy and closing the racial wealth gap, he says, is a rising tide that lifts all boats.
Imagine what that looks like when you have multiple racial groups that are there at the table of wealth and building things that everybody can live in. Something that becomes very vibrant, like our forefathers and our ancestors that they dreamed about, that now is like we're living.
So when it comes to increasing financial literacy, for anyone watching at home, Mark says one of the first things you can do is to have those tough conversations about finances with your stakeholders. So your partner, your spouse, whoever has a vested interest. He also says taking baby steps and being consistent can go a long way in meeting your financial goals. And of course, you can catch the Come Up series on YouTube. But it was so great talking to him, and he's doing incredible work.
Absolutely. I mean, incredible lessons, too, to be learned as parents. You know, building that generational wealth
100%.
For your children and families. Thank you for that report.
Now, with our play of the day, it's February 2nd, so you know what that means. Groundhog Day. And just minutes ago, Phil emerged from his burrow, and the official word is he saw his shadow, which means 6 more weeks of winter. I know. But look, Phil does not have formal meteorology training like our Samara does.
I appreciate that, and I was told that Staten Island Chuck has a higher accuracy rate.
What about your accuracy rate?
I'm there with
better than all of them.
There you go.
Hands
We're hoping
down.
for spring.
Have a great day, everybody.